Hey everybody, it's Mark Masters. Always Bookin Comedy. It's Monday. Don't see our guest. Gonna check in on him and fix my Bluetooth here. I'll just take a second. That's actually not gonna work. I'm on a new computer. Let me see if I can get our guest. Don't know if I have their phone number. I do. See if they showed up. No. All right, I'm going to try and track down their phone number. This is a bummer. Oh, found the phone number. Just make sure they're not on yet. Nope. I'm going to text. All right, very exciting, everybody. Very exciting. Stay tuned. All right, text sent. Oh, there we go. Look at that. He's here.
Oh. All right. Just
All right, we got well wishes from North Carolina. People watching online. Terrific.
Oh, nice. Is this live? Sweet.
This is live, buddy. We've been going for a few minutes now.
Look at that.
All right. How are you today, Stephen?
I'm good. I just finished a festival planning meeting, and those are always a lot of fun. But now we're in the zone. How does my mic sound?
You sound okay.
Okay, here. I'll see if I can.
Good to me.
I got a little.
Yeah. Why don't we jump right in there since it's fresh in your mind? Tell us about your festival and what kind of things go into planning a festival, lessons you've learned, etc.
Yeah. Let me crank this up. See if this thing's gonna work real quick. I bought it for a reason. This is the most money.
No, you just muted yourself. All right.
Is it now?
Oh, now you're back.
Nice. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, we're doing it's our third festival that we do in Kansas City. We did it. This is our third annual one. So we do it every October. It's just like all the DIY shows. So none of the club stuff. It's just all the DIY rooms, the venues, the self-produced shows. And we just kind of gather all the producers into one weekend and say, hey, we're going to schedule it. We're going to book your shows. We'll try and have you help, but we're all kind of hands on deck, going to produce this. And it's worked. We did it the past 2 years. It was a lot of fun, been successful. People keep submitting and coming back to it. So definitely a labor.
What is it called?
Fountain City Comedy Festival.
Fountain City. I've heard of it. Nice.
Yeah. Kansas City is apparently the most fountains in the world besides Rome.
Who knew? Who knew? Kansas City and Rome, both on my bucket list.
And yeah, who knew and who cares? Nobody comes. There's not
better barbecue than Rome, I'm guessing.
Much better barbecue, worse Catholics, and not even a fountain tour. They don't even take you to them, but they're all.
You should start that.
Yeah,
I've heard of comedy on a bus. We could do comedy on fountain tours. Why not?
So
let's go back to the first year of the festival. What was like the biggest thing that went wrong that you were able to correct since then?
First year there was like nothing. Like honestly,
nice.
the first year went off without a hitch. The second one, we have like a weekly festival in Kansas City. It's on the first weekend of the month. So first Friday and first Saturdays are pretty big out here. And so we moved our festival to that weekend because we were busy the other one. And I think it's just like too much to compete with. So we just had it's still a good fest, but it wasn't as good. And so this year we're moving back to the second weekend in October, I think. I don't want to put that out officially, but
Okay, sure.
I'm
You're
pretty
trying to basically what you're saying is you got to coordinate your festival around other competing events. I have an issue like that coming up with Vail Comedy Festival, where we're every Memorial Day weekend, and allegedly this coming Memorial Day weekend there's going to be another very large event in Vail, and I don't know what that's going to look like. I can't control it. At first, I was kind of disappointed. Now I think I'm excited about it because it's mostly a daytime thing, and
Oh yeah.
maybe there's fun stuff for people during the day, and then we got the comedy at night. Maybe it brings more traffic to town. Who knows? So you did it during the busy period, and then you switched it away, or which direction did you go?
We were the week after the busy weekend.
Okay, and that went well. That was the first year.
Right, because then we were able to use the busy weekend is the busy weekend for the entire town. So everybody knows we're going out
Yeah.
on first Friday and we're going out on first Saturday.
Right.
And so the first year we used those as like we just went out and guerrilla marketed, flyered, barked, whatever, just saying, hey, there's a comedy festival next week. And I think people are much more responsive to there's one next week than there's one tomorrow. I think you can get somebody with, hey, there's shows going on tonight. I think that works. But I think when you're like, hey, what are you doing in 24 hours? They're like, no, I'm not. No chance. I don't want to.
Right.
I want to be with my family or whatever other plans I already had. So,
Sure.
yeah, I think that was the big lesson so far, and hopefully it changes.
How let's talk about submissions. We had a special episode a few weeks ago, I guess, at this point, with the Snow Jam Comedy Festival. One of the founders, Dan Bublitz. Don't know if you
Oh
run
yeah,
across
I know
him.
Dan.
Yes, we talked mostly about videos in submissions, but just people are interested in this. How do I get into a comedy festival? What have your submissions looked like over the years? Are they expensive, not expensive? What are you asking for? Have you changed? Are you getting more submissions, less submissions? Just talk about, I think that's a very interesting topic to a lot of people. And I'm
So
sure you have a lot of wisdom around it.
yeah, well, and I've also submitted for a lot of festivals and gotten denied from a lot of festivals. And now that I'm on,
Me too, buddy.
yeah,
We both, brother.
now that I'm on the submission board, I see why. Like the sad answer is, if you are not getting into festivals, it is because your clip is not good enough. Like
Okay.
that's pretty much the end of it. There are some festivals that they're doing buddy buddy, and it doesn't matter what your clip is, you're not getting in. But for the most part, like what I've learned is, I would watch back my video that I was submitting to people going, this is a good clip. People are, I'm killing. I am killing to the point where I'm angry at the crowd. I'm like, dude, this is not that funny. Like that's how hard I'm killing. And the jokes that I've submitted are good, but little things go a long way. If I am watching 30 plus hours of stand-up comedy in 3 to 5 minute increments, then if I hear somebody say, now welcome Mark Masters, and then I have to watch you play with your junk while you figure out what the crowd is like, you're like, huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, give it up for that guy. I don't care about that guy at all. And in the first 15 seconds, I hate you. Like, I don't have to know you, but I hate you. And I don't hold it against you. But as far as like getting into the festival, it's like, it becomes this thing where you don't realize it's a game until you're on the other side of it. And then you go, oh, I just got to get to the joke. Open with the joke. What, like, don't give me your host intro. I don't want to know. I already know your name because it's already on the form and it's next to me. The first thing out of your mouth in the first 10 seconds needs to be a punchline. You need to be getting a laugh immediately. The crowd needs to pop. And then it needs to be about 4 minutes and 50 seconds of that on repeat, because everybody's got a good clip. Like even bad comics have good clips. We've all been in festivals where you were like, how did this person get on this festival with me? And the answer is anybody can have a really good set, and if you get it documented, you could submit it. And a lot of the times, I think everybody that's been in our festival is like, I probably know 20% of them.
Okay.
And then everybody else is like unknown to me. I have no idea besides the clip that's submitted. And even when I have friends that submit, I'm not giving them an extra score. It's like, dude, I can't. One, we have like 8 people watching, so it doesn't matter if you're my friend.
Right.
Even if I gave you like a friend bump, it's not going to be enough to get you over the hump. But like, your video has to be good because nobody's. I don't want to credit somebody, even if you're my homie. If you got a bad video, my first thought is like, I can't let my homie have a bad video. I have to be a good
Right.
friend and tell you, hey, dude, your video sucks. And I
Right.
don't know why.
You might get into my festival, but you're not getting into any others.
Yeah, if
Not that
only
you would in this case, but
right. If
yeah.
I was running the festival because I know that you're funny and I know that you're
Yeah.
good, I don't care because this is terrible. It's like,
Sure.
yeah, I think those are the little things that go a long way, is just making sure that you're getting to the jokes and that the jokes are well done. And I think I struggled for 5 years to get a good clip. And then the pandemic hit and I still didn't have a good clip. And then I went and was like, I'm not even going to record this set because I don't know how it's going to go. And then I just murdered for 15 minutes and I had it on tape. And I was like, oh, finally. And then I started getting into festivals. And it's like,
Nice.
oh, well, that's the code. You just have to have a knockdown, drag out video. And so if you're a comic that's wanting to submit to videos, my main advice to you is to film every single 5-minute set, 10-minute set, 15-minute set you do. And if you go back and rewatch them, that's a good thing. If you're like me and you have good intentions and you will never rewatch them because you hate yourself, then if you don't crush, delete it and try again. And then if you
Yeah.
don't crush, delete it and then try again until you get one where you go, holy shit, that was good. They were like
Yeah.
it. Because then you might get into a festival.
Nice. Okay, so talk about it more from the festival organizer's perspective. Do you feel like you get high quality videos? Are you also getting bad videos? How are you soliciting those videos?
When you like, I mean, I feel like we get a wide array of types, quality as far as like audio, video, quality as far as material, um, and those little things like that. I mean, I think like a little goes a long way. I don't need an expertly crafted clip. I actually kind of find myself judging those a little more harshly sometimes. If you give me something that's like from a special, I'm like, what is okay, what is, I don't know why. I think it's like, subconscious and it's probably just me. Um, but I think as long as you're in focus, I can like kind of see your face and the audio is good, then you're going to be set. The hardest part is like finding audio that works for both. So many times it's so hard to trust the material and not the audience reaction.
Right.
So I find myself like really challenging myself to like, let me pay attention to what the jokes are, not just how the audience is reacting to this. Because on video, it's really hard to get crowd laughs if you aren't miking both. Like your camera,
Right.
if you have
Yeah.
a camera that's in the back, I don't have a camcorder, so this is always hard for me. But if you have a camcorder that's in the back and your phone is on stage with you, it's really easy to pair the audio and video of
Yeah.
those two things and to kind of level it out to where you're at least getting some of that crowd feedback. But again, I don't think it's like super important. It could be in a small room, it could be in an open mic.
Yeah.
Right?
So again, it's trying to get off the submission tips more from a festival organizer's perspective. What's your take on videos? Are you guys getting the videos you want to see? And why are people applying and sending in their videos? What do you think's worked for you to get uh, high quality videos from comics around the country? I assume you're open to people from all over the place.
Yeah. We've had people submit from Africa and Europe. We had a ton of different. Yeah, we're definitely. One of the things that we've done is the festival organizers are all DIY bookers or comedians who know a bunch of comedians and just say, hey, we're doing this. You can trust us. Tell your friends to tell your friends to tell somebody about it. And so, I think at the end of the day, quality breeds quality. And like we try our hardest in Kansas City to like maintain a very good scene with very good comics. And so that reputation, I hope, precedes us. And that's why we get so many, our lineups have been great and we've gotten high quality video. But to say that also, we have 350 submissions and 40 of them are getting in, and probably 40 after that are pretty good. And then about 100, maybe 200, you might be like, why are you, you got to get a better, it's just some of the times it's just like really bad tapes, really.
Yeah.
And you want to tell somebody, sometimes I want to send emails that I'm like, dude, why are you doing this to yourself or to us? Like, just get that video up. But I think, yeah, it depends on the festival. I think each year the festival gets better, the more quality. But I think I bet festivals are always the same ratio, which is about 60% really, really bad, 40% good, and 20% of that is great. And I bet that's probably just the general. I bet Limestone just has more submissions than we have, but I bet if you were to do a pie chart, I bet it's pretty close.
Yeah, I think that makes sense based on talking to a lot of festival organizers. Okay, let's talk about DIY comedy. What was the first show you ever ran? How did you get your venue? Why did you do it? Let's throw back to then.
So the first show I ever ran on my own was a year into comedy. I had won a competition and used that to say that I should headline my hometown, and then was a year in doing 30 minutes to my fiance at that time's family. That was their first time seeing me. Just all bad, but I organized it and it went well. We had 150 tickets sold in my hometown bar that I used to work at, and had a lot of people come in and had a lot of fun. And then I think later that year is when we started the Barrel. We had a venue, a DIY venue in Kansas City that was very near and dear to everybody, kind of shut down. And in its absence, there's a vacuum, and so something's got to fill it. And we were trying to figure out, we wanted a podcast studio, so we built that. And then we were like, man, there's room in here to do shows. So we built a little corner stage, and then that went from once a month in 2018 to, we do them. It's kind of a little more often, and then now we do them weekly.
I got a question. So when you say you built a podcast studio, what, did you just do that in a cornfield, or did you lease space, or what does that mean?
My buddy that I was I would do podcasts with him. He had an apartment in kind of the manufacturing district of Kansas City, warehouse district. And he's a carpenter. So it was a place where he could just do woodworking. It was destroyed.
Sure.
And he invited me up one time after we were talking about this. We were going to go around that area and find places. And when I walked into his apartment, I was like, yo, I think you need to move. I think you need to find an actual living situation. And I think we should turn this into the space that we were talking about. And we thought about it for a while, and then we're like, we'll come back tomorrow. And then when I came back tomorrow, he had already ripped up all of the, he had built himself a bar. He had built himself a little loft for his bed. He ripped up all of it and just put up a skeleton wall for the studio. Kind of overnight, just drank a bunch of Miller High Lights and went to town.
Handy guy.
Oh yeah, very, very.
Good person
none of
to
this
know.
would be possible. Yeah,
So how does that work? Do you pay the rent with him, or what? I love this. This is so cool. Do you guys lease the space? Does your landlord care at all that you run comedy shows?
I mean, don't send this to them. Don't kind of let them. Don't let them really know. The less they know, the better. I think. By the time they found out kind of what we were doing, we had been doing it for a year and a half at that point.
Okay. And how many seats did you get in there?
Well, we used to, it's fire coded for 30 seats that we can fit in there. Before a fire code, this was before the fire code came in.
Okay.
We had 75 in there, 80 for talent, and it was like a punk rock show. It was in the middle of summer. We had a window unit. People, I think Sam sweat through both of his shirts. It was awesome. But now we keep a firm cap. Landlord, we keep a very firm cap, and it's a small space, but
How do you guys ticket? Are you using Eventbrite or something like that?
we're using Eventbrite, and that
Okay.
drives me up the wall every single
Okay.
time. I hate that company.
I know.
They take so
We
much
can talk
money.
about that after the episode a little bit.
Do y'all use them?
Okay, so that's cool. So you got your own space. You built out a podcast studio. Make a little comedy club. How often do you run shows there? Like about once a month?
No, now it's once a week. Now we do every
Awesome.
Saturday. I think we're getting close to 2 shows on Saturday, 7 and
That is
9.
incredible.
It's
I
been
love
fun.
it.
And then we have
Who are some of the big? So Sam Talent, huge name. If you're watching this and you don't know who Sam Talent is, check him out. Talent, 2 L's. So funny, great live. Check him out live. Who are any other big names you want to brag about?
Jeffrey Asmus, who's
a
popular
killer.
right
How
now.
long ago was that?
That was last May, April, June.
Amazing. I mean, he's gonna be selling out 500 place seat theaters this
Oh
time.
yeah, he's about to bust. We have Michael Longfellow from SNL, Tom Takar,
Wow.
Gavin, Matt.
What do you Gavin, hilarious. You don't have to answer this, but do you give a door deal, or like how are you incentivizing these comics to come to your space? Are they just psyched because they heard about it from other comics, or what's those are big names you're talking about?
Yeah, that's how we've gotten everything. I mean, the first out of towner that we ever booked was Kenny DeForest, the late great Kenny DeForest, R.I.P. The big homie. He was a dear friend and a big supporter. He came in and did it. It was sold out. He had such a good time that he was like, "Yo." I remember he walked into the space and he goes, "This feels like something that should be in New York, and I don't know why people don't know about this." So he said, any comics that he knew, he was going to push him here. And when we built the space thinking, oh, I hope Sam Talent comes and headlines this. This seems like a room that he would like. It was back in 2017, 18. And so then we got him in July. We had Rena Calm right before that.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of, was word of mouth. And then there are certain comics when they come in that they're like, hey, can we do a different type of deal? I run a couple different rooms now. That like Barrel might help produce with the brand, but that we do in other venues where it's easier to run shows besides a DIY podcast studio. So, I have different like flexibilities that I can do with certain people, depending on what their draw is. But for the most part, it's like honestly, the money's not great. Like I won't lie, and
people do it for the fun, and they're already in town. Do you always do a Saturday night, or do some people like they're working a club and maybe they'll do you on Sunday or something like that?
I have a Sunday show that's weekly, as long as the Chiefs aren't playing, that we do at like Kansas City's best music venue, and so we have a 70-seat room. It's got 4 stages in this little complex, and so we use the smallest one because that's the best for comedy. And if we have somebody big, like I think Asmus, we put on the second stage, which is like 150 to 200. So it just kind of depends. We've gotten pretty lucky to just have like.
Well, that's a great strategy. I think that everybody should take note of that who wants to run shows in our city. Having different size venues gives you a lot of flexibility. You might book somebody 6 months out and then they pop, and then you can shift them over to a different venue. Having that flexibility, that's very smart. That's a good business strategy in comedy.
Yeah, I have accidentally turned into an entrepreneur. I have it's all, the reason that we were at Knuckleheads, that music venue, is because COVID hit, and that's like really not good in a DIY 40-seat venue, So we had to, Knuckleheads had an outdoor venue that seats like 600. And we were doing second Wednesday shows there, selling 70 tickets. I mean, it was just rough sledding, but it was all we could do over the pandemic. And then once things kind of went back to normal, they were like, well, what do y'all want to do? And I was like,
let me ask you about some equipment stuff. In the DIY place, what kind of sound and lighting, and do you like what you have? Would you improve it if you had a blank check? Like what?
Oh God, if I had money, I would do it. We keep looking for grants or whatever. But yeah, I found out that we missed a lot of money over the PPP, which I hate. Yeah. We missed when I figured it out. I was like, we missed out on like $40,000 that we could have gotten for the venue, which would have been life changing for that venue. And we barely survived the pandemic. We were doing live stream comedy and burlesque shows. And like, we really had to scrape together. We would have done really well to get that PPP loan. But again, I back ended to being an entrepreneur. I never planned on this life. It just happened because the comedy.
I always say comics are the most entrepreneurial people you'll ever meet. They got no bosses. There's no middle management. It's them on the stage trying to compete in the spotlight, literally, and they're sleeping in their cars, and it's the life, man. You got to do it.
There's no union for this, and no union would ever want to rep us, because we will accept the lowest of low. Like, however low you think you're willing to go, comedians are cockroaches and they will go just as low. And so, yeah, it's just, you try not to be crabs in a bucket. And I think in Kansas City, we've done a good job of being like, hey, community first. Like, we all rise together if we hold ourselves to a higher standard. And, the comedy's gotten good, the shows have gotten good, but it's really hard not to get into that crab in the bucket. I just got to get my thing. And so how do I get that edge? It's a balance of both, I think.
Hold on one second. We got a comment from the Carolinas here. Who is him and where did you see him? I'm assuming that maybe is Sam Talent, but we talked about a bunch of comics, so it's definitely not Rena Calm. We'll find out. They'll post in a second. Okay, so what do you have a PA there, or do you drag in a PA for every show, or?
No, we've got one. We've got a standing, like a mixer. We have it wired.
Okay.
It's just like we need to update the speakers. We need to hang them from the ceiling. Oh, Asmus in North Carolina. Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, great.
Nice.
We need to hang the speakers from the ceiling just because I think it would make the sound better. Okay. Just like we all started with what we started with, and this is the same thing that we've had for 5 years, and we're just like repairing things kind of as you go. So
where do you get your chairs?
It's a very funny story, actually. We have very uncomfortable.
By the way, anybody watching this who's like, who would ask a question like that? This is exactly what comics talk about. I love to talk about chairs. Chairs are a great topic.
Chairs are the hardest thing in the world to come by at an affordable price. I'm still looking. I look on Facebook Marketplace pretty much every other day for chairs. My Facebook Marketplace algorithm is just chairs and church pews. And I think like what we did is we had a friend who had a warehouse that was shutting down, where she kept our other friends' mom's chairs from this summer camp that she used to run down in Lake Watoma or whatever. It's on the bottom of all of our chairs. On the bottom of all the barrel chairs, it says Lake Watoma camp or whatever. And we've got like 50 of these uncomfortable metal chairs, and then we've got a couch and a love seat, and we say if you get here early you get the couch and a love seat, and if not, the chairs aren't that bad. Sit on your hands.
Right. That's hilarious. That's so funny.
Is it not? I mean, a chair costs now. People, I never thought I would say this out loud, but people are crazy about these chairs. They're charging like $10 for one chair. It's like, if I want to get 50 chairs, I got to pay $500 for a chair that's got, an ass cushion the size of a legal pad. Like, it's not, you can't do it. It's not good.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about road work, touring, and I want to promote your Unteachable thing. Pretty neat. Steven's part of a group that has like a themed comedy event, and they are killing it. But I'm gonna let Steven tell that story. Why don't you jump into that?
Yeah, I used to be a teacher, and then I got fired very publicly. And before that, I was on the road with a couple of other teachers out of Denver, Joe McKenna and Lou Ferris. Lou and I actually went to college together in Louisiana. And
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, we were bouncers at the same bar. When I moved to Kansas City and started comedy, a couple years later, he moved to Orlando and started comedy. And so I gave him some pointers whenever he was starting out. And then when he moved to Denver, he was looking to get on the road. And I was like, well, why don't we just kind of all three kind of hop on? We'll produce like teachers tours are pretty popular. So we were like, we're all funny. And I think we could do a DIY version of this. And so we started that, and they were really successful. The first 3-week run we did, it was their first time ever on the road, but we sold out like probably half of the venues that we did.
Amazing.
And that's even on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, bringing like 150 people into like a Little Rock brewery. Like people just kind of came out for it. And I've toured on the road by myself or, with another comic who also doesn't have a name. And
it's hard to draw.
It's hard. And so once we found this, it was like, well, how do we keep this up and keep kind of building from it? Because once I think anybody doing anything DIY, once you find something that works, it's like, okay, well, you kind of got to step on the gas. You don't have to commit your whole life to it, but you need to like kind of put the pedal to the metal a little bit and see what you can make work out of it. And so, yeah, the Unteachables has been successful. We're touring that. We do it every time they're on break because they still teach. They didn't get fired yet. So
what would you say the number two thing? So number one, I think you're saying is having this theme really helps draw an audience.
If you have something, yeah. If
somebody what's the number two thing that you guys are doing well to draw audiences?
Probably, man, just like the guerrilla work, the emails, the reaching out to like local reps, local businesses. The thing I always tell show producers is like, hit up the local hotels, hit up the local apartment complexes, create a promo code for them, and then make them feel special. Say, hey, we're sending this to all your residents or all of your visitors that come in at this time. Send them a flyer. They like people. My girlfriend works for hotels, and when people come into hotels, they always want to know like
what to do.
What should I be doing? And it's like, just give them something to say. Oh yeah, you should go to, I heard there's a fun comedy show. You just never know. And one person means maybe two people, and two people means maybe four people, and just whatever little ways that you can get an extra body.
Yeah, I would add on to that. The person I called 4 hotels today, and each person I talked to, I offered a free ticket to a comedy show, and I ticketed 3 people. And it's just goodwill. If you take care of them, they're going to take care of you. If they come out and they have an incredible time, the next time somebody comes to the front desk and is like, "Hey, what should I do this weekend?" "Oh, there's one of those comedy shows. I went once. It was awesome."
Yeah.
So if you're proud of your product, show it off by giving away free tickets to people that are in a position to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think comping, influencers, it's gross to say, but if you got an account that you like to follow that you actually like, my thing is always like, I don't think like fake stuff really works, but I think if there's like somebody popular in your city or area that you also like or follow, hit them up and just say, hey, I really like your stuff and I do these shows. And if you ever want to come to one, would love to just show you what it is.
I think that's a good way for us to land the plane. Do the gross stuff, everybody. If you do the things other people aren't willing to do, you'll be successful. That's really what it comes down to, is what I've found.
Yeah. And I'm willing to do the gross stuff. I am definitely a cockroach.
That's why you're successful, man. That's great. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. How can people find out about the festival, find out about Unteachables, and follow your comedy career?
Everything I post is going to be on at formerly Fat Steven. The joke is that I'm still pretty fat. Okay, internet. All right, get the joke. It's at formerly Fat Steven because Steven Taylor is too hard to confuse. So that's where I post all of my dates. Unteachables will be on that. You can follow at Fountain City Comedy Fest and at Barrel of the Bottoms. Those are the two. If you're around Kansas City, if you're around the Midwest, if you're a touring comic, definitely want to check those out for sure. And then, I think that's pretty much mainly where I'm going to post everything. Don't follow Lou Ferris and Joe McKenna, whatever you do.
And if you're only listening to this, it's Steven like Stephen, Stephen.
Yeah, my name was Steven for years, and then Steph Curry became a celebrity, and my life has been ruined. So, yeah, it is Stephen Taylor, which I guess is just going to be what I need to start going by, maybe.
That's interesting.
Sounds better.
That's not a bad idea. It sounds unique and distinctive, and circling all the way back to the submission videos. Like that's what I have learned from seeing tapes is you really need to be unique. Because a lot of people can be funny and have good tape, but if you watch 50 of those, like which one are you going to remember at the end of watching 50 of them? So anyways, Steven or Stefan, if I can, Mr. Taylor, It's been a delight. Stick around for a second. We'll be back next Monday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Always Bookin Comedy. Have a good one.